Okay, let's unpack this. I want to start today with a bit of a mystery, a genuine, honest-to-goodness detective story that is unfolding right now in the first half of 2025.
A mystery. Okay, I'm intrigued.
And the setting for this mystery is the London borough of Camden.
I love a good mystery, especially when we can root it in hard data. So what does the crime scene look like?
Well, it's not exactly a crime scene in the traditional sense. It's more of a data scene, but it is baffling. So picture Camden. You usually think of the markets, right? The music history, maybe the punk rock tourists.
Yeah.
But economically, it's a powerhouse. It is usually the absolute heartbeat of the local economy.
Hmm.
But if we look at the data for the first half of 2025, specifically on new company registrations, something strange happened.
Okay.
They didn't just dip, they fell off a cliff.
Define cliff for us, because that's a strong word.
New company registrations dropped by 40%. 40. We went from about 24,000 registrations down to roughly 14,000.
Oh.
That is a massive, massive contraction in just a 6-month window.
That is huge. I mean, usually when you see a drop like that, 40% alarm bells are just ringing everywhere.
Right.
Economists start writing obituaries for the district, investors pull out. It normally signals a dying ecosystem.
Exactly. Or that confidence has completely evaporated. It suggests that people are too scared to start something new.
Right. The well has run dry.
That's what you would think. You look at that chart, you think, okay, the party is over, Camden is finished. But here is the twist. This is the part that makes no sense.
Go on.
Despite that massive drop in the paperwork, Camden remained Britain's top startup hotbed for the 5th year running.
Run that by me again. How does that math even work? A 40% drop, but still number one.
The data shows they still have 7,031 new active businesses per 100,000 residents. So, yeah, fewer people are filing the initial paperwork, but the area is still the most vibrant, dense engine of entrepreneurship in the whole of the UK.
That is a fascinating contradiction, isn't it? It defies the basic laws of startup gravity.
Yeah.
Usually volume equals vibrancy, more shots on goal,
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
How can you have a 40% drop in people starting companies, but still be the undisputed king of startups? What is actually going on here? Is it everyone just hanging out in co-working spaces, pretending to work?
Well, see, this is where it gets really interesting, and this is why we're diving into this today. If you look closer, this isn't a signal of decay at all. It's actually a signal of a shift, a major shift in how businesses are being built.
Okay.
It's not about the quantity of the paperwork filed at company's house anymore. It's all about the operational reality of the survivors.
Operational reality. That sounds heavy. Break that down for us.
It means we are seeing a survival of the fittest scenario playing out in real time. The companies that are surviving and thriving in Camden right now, and frankly across the UK, they aren't necessarily the ones with the best ideas,
Right.
or even the most funding. They are the ones that have figured out how to survive what we're calling the silent killer.
The silent killer. Okay, now it feels like we're in a horror movie.
For a founder, it is a horror movie. And the silent killer is operational overhead. It's the admin.
The admin.
It's all the stuff that isn't the product, isn't the sales, isn't the vision. It's the glue that holds the business together. But if you aren't careful, that glue just hardens and you get stuck. You literally suffocate in your own administration.
I think we have this really romantic idea of the startup founder, don't we?
Oh, completely.
They're in a garage or maybe a cool converted warehouse in King's Cross, whiteboarding the next big thing, high-fiving over product launches.
That's the movie version. That's the Instagram version. But the reality
is they're drowning. We found some McKinsey data in the stack for this that is just, it's painful to read. It says email alone, just managing your email, takes up 28% of a knowledge worker's day.
Just stop and think about that. 28%. That's nearly a third of your life just hitting reply all or archiving spam or trying to find that one attachment from 3 weeks ago.
And when you look at founders specifically, it gets even worse. They are spending 60 to 70% of their week on non-core tasks.
60 to 70.
Yeah. We're talking calendar Tetris, just trying to find a 30-minute slot where 3 people are free. Formatting documents, chasing invoices, dealing with the printer that for some reason will never connect to the Wi-Fi.
Which means they are only spending 30% of their time actually building the company.
Right.
Imagine if a Formula One driver spent 70% of the race changing their own tires. They'd lose every single time. You cannot compete if your processing power is being used on all these low-leverage tasks.
Yeah, that is a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
So today we are doing a deep dive into how the smartest companies in Camden and beyond are solving this. We are looking at a concept called distributed workforce optimization. And specifically, we're going to look at a company that just kept popping up in the research, a company called VAConnect.
And just to frame the stakes here, because I think people hear virtual assistant or VA, and they immediately think, oh, hiring a secretary.
Or they think about those old robotic call centers where you just get frustrated.
Right. Press 1 for frustration. Exactly. This is not that. This isn't just about hiring a secretary. This is a structural economic shift. This is about businesses realizing that to survive high rents in places like London and high labor costs, they have to offload non-core functions to managed frameworks.
Right.
It's not just a hire. It's a completely new way of operating.
It's the difference between hiring a person and installing a system.
Precisely. You said it perfectly. It's moving from a headcount mentality to a capability mentality. And later on, we are going to talk about something that surprised me the most. What we're calling the human layer.
I'm so excited for this part.
Because everyone thinks AI is going to replace the assistant. We hear it every day. Oh, ChatGPT will do it. But the data suggests that in the age of AI, these VAConnect operators are actually becoming more important, not less.
I can't wait to get to that because it completely flips the narrative on automation. But first, we have to look at the math. Because if you are a founder in Camden, or anywhere really, the math is just brutal.
It is. Let's dig into what we're calling the arithmetic of leverage. This is where the dream meets the cold, hard spreadsheet.
Okay, so let's say I'm a founder. I've got my seed funding. I'm setting up shop near King's Cross. First of all, the rent. Just the rent.
It's astronomical. I mean, you're looking at 45 to 65 pounds per square foot annually.
Per square foot.
So just having a physical desk for someone to sit at is a major line item on your budget. Before they even turn on a computer, they are costing you thousands just by taking up space.
Ouch. And then I realize I'm drowning in admin.
Yeah.
My email is exploding. My calendar's a complete mess. So I think, okay, I'll hire an office manager. I find someone great. I offer them, say, £35,000 a year. That seems reasonable for London.
It does. It's a living wage, a decent starting salary.
But on paper, it's $35,000.
Oh.
And this is the trap, right?
This is the trap. You have to look at the true cost of an employee. In the UK, you have national insurance at 13.8% on earnings above the threshold.
Right.
You have pension auto-enrollment minimums, which are 8% combined.
And then there are recruitment fees. You probably paid a headhunter 15% of that salary just to find the person.
Plus a laptop, plus software licenses, plus office supplies. It all adds up.
So what does that £35,000 hire actually cost me?
When you factor everything in, it's about £47,000 before they've even sat down at the desk. You are paying a massive, massive premium just for the privilege of employing them locally.
That is a huge jump, and that's a fixed cost.
Right.
That number is on my books, no matter what.
That is the rigidity problem. That is the killer. If you hire that full-time employee, you are paying for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, regardless of the workload. If you have a quiet month, you still pay. If you have a crazy month, you still pay, and maybe they burn out. You have zero elasticity. You are completely locked in.
And this is where the VAConnect model comes in. It's all about offering that elasticity.
Right. Their model ranges roughly from 10 to 30 pounds per hour, depending on the skill tier and the package you choose. But the key isn't just the hourly rate, it's the flexibility.
So I can scale it.
You can scale up during a funding round when everything is manic, and you can scale right back down during a period of consolidation. And you do it without paying redundancy costs, without the emotional toll and legal hassle of firing someone.
It's like cloud computing, but for people. You just pay for the server capacity you actually use. You don't buy the whole data center.
That's a very, very good analogy. It turns a fixed capital expense or a fixed operational blob on your P&L into a variable operating expense that moves with your revenue. It makes your business fundamentally more agile.
We have this great story in the research, an anecdote about a woman named Rachel Thornton. She's a fintech founder right there in Camden.
Yeah.
And she did the math on herself.
Oh, this was painful to read, but so relatable. I think every single entrepreneur has had this moment of realization where they look at what they're actually doing all day and they just want to cry.
She tracked her time obsessively for a month. She and her co-founder realized they were spending a combined 47 hours a week on business housekeeping.
47 hours.
Inbox management, scheduling meetings, light research, formatting, customer onboarding, documentation, all that stuff.
That is more than a full-time job just on admin. That means one of the two founders was effectively working as a full-time secretary, but getting paid with founder equity. That is a terrible, terrible trade.
That is exactly it. And when she calculated their hourly billing rate against that time, what they could have been earning if they were doing high-value work like sales or product strategy, the opportunity cost was £94,000 a year.
Wow.
They were effectively burning $100,000 just to keep the lights on.
And that's money that isn't going into product development or sales. That is a massive leak in the boat. If you went to an investor and said, I'm going to take £100,000 of your money and just burn it in a barrel, they'd fire you on the spot. But that's essentially what they were doing with their time.
So she switched to VAConnect. Her cost went to about £1,400 a month.
Okay, so let's do the math on that. $1,400 a month is roughly, what, £17,000 a year?
Yeah, about that.
So she went from a £94,000 opportunity cost to a £17,000 actual cost. She saved £77,000.
And her quote about it was perfect. She said, the ROI bordered on obscene.
And that brings us to the macro view. Because Rachel isn't an isolated case. This is a trend. If you zoom out and look at the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics data from 2019 to 2023, and this covers 61 different industries, there is a direct correlation between remote work adoption and something called total factor productivity.
Total factor productivity. Okay, that sounds like some serious economist speak. Break that down for us.
It basically means how much output you get for every unit of input. It's a measure of efficiency and innovation combined. Are you getting more bang for your buck?
Got it.
The data showed that a 1 percentage point increase in remote workers led to a 0.4% decrease in unit office costs.
Those sound like small numbers, 0.4%. But I'm guessing that across an entire economy, or even just a decent-sized company, that compounds.
It compounds massively. It's the difference between a profitable year and a loss. It's the difference between having the budget to hire a new engineer or having to freeze all hiring. It's huge.
So London might be the AI capital with all that funding. Was it £3.5 billion in 2024 alone? But Camden is winning by becoming the efficiency capital.
Exactly. They're stripping away the fat so the muscle can work harder. They are looking at their profit and loss statements and realizing that prestige office space and bloated admin staff are liabilities, not assets.
But, and this is a big but, I can hear the listener right now. They are probably screaming at their device. They were saying, guys, I tried this. I went on one of those websites. I hired a freelancer for $10 an hour, and it was a complete and utter disaster.
And they are absolutely right to be skeptical, because there is a massive difference between what I call the Wild West of outsourcing and a managed service like VAConnect.
Let's talk about that Wild West. We're calling it the quality chasm.
Right. On one side of this chasm, you have the marketplaces, your Upworks, your Fivers. These platforms optimize for breadth. You can find anyone to do almost anything. You want a logo designed. You want a poem written in Klingon. You want a spreadsheet formatted. You can find it. But you are hiring a gig worker. You are not hiring a support system.
It's transactional.
Highly, highly transactional. There is no real vetting beyond a star rating, which, let's be honest, can be gamed. There is no manager looking over their shoulder. You are the manager.
Which is a problem you were trying to solve in the first place.
We have this story in the research about a Cambridge MBA student. He was doing his thesis on this very market back in 2024. As part of his research, he hired 5 VAs from these major platforms to do some basic stuff.
Okay.
Calendar management, email triage, CRM data entry, nothing too complex.
And the results were not great, I'm guessing.
Not great is an understatement. 3 of them failed immediately, just ghosted him or couldn't do the job. The 4th one made so many calendar errors that it led to him missing an important client meeting. And that is the hidden cost. That's the thing people miss. If you pay someone £8 an hour, but you have to spend 5 hours managing them, or fixing their mistakes, or worse, apologizing to a client they offended.
Right.
The real cost is astronomical. It's actually negative value. You are paying to be stressed out.
So that's the low end of the chasm. But what about the high end? There are premium UK-based agencies.
There are, and they are very good. Companies like Time, etc., or Verdalent, they have excellent people. But you are paying for that UK postcode. You're looking at £360 to £425 for just 10 hours of work.
So that's like £36 to £42 an hour. That's pricey, especially for a startup.
It is. It's very hard to scale that. If you need 40 hours a week of support, You are basically back to paying a full-time UK salary. You haven't really solved the core cost problem. So VAConnect sits in what we call the Goldilocks zone.
Not too hot, not too cold.
Exactly. It's managed service quality. So you aren't just rolling the dice on a random freelancer, but it's at near commodity pricing. You get the safety net and the quality control of an agency with pricing that's much closer to a marketplace.
And they've been around a while, right? This isn't some fly-by-night pop-up shop.
No, not at all. They were actually founded way back in 2008. They started as a different company, Lime Tree Consulting. They pivoted to this managed VA model in 2014.
So they have over a decade of operational history in this specific field. They aren't learning on the job.
They've seen it all. And here's the stat that just blew my mind when I saw it. They have a 98% retention rate over a 14-month period.
Whoa. 98%. What is the industry average for a VA agency?
It's about 6 to 9 months.
So their staff stays, on average, twice as long as the competition. That implies they're doing something very, very different internally.
It does.
Retention is usually the canary in the coal mine for these kinds of agencies. If churn is high, it means quality is probably low and the system is broken.
It absolutely does. And that leads us to the secret sauce, because the obvious question is, how do they get high quality at that price point? And the answer starts with geography.
South Africa.
Correct. VAConnect exclusively employs South African VAs.
Now, obviously, there is a cost arbitrage there. The currency exchange rate has to play a role.
Definitely. The exchange rate between the pound or the dollar and the rand, that's the South African currency, is significant. If you are paying, say, 12,000 rand for a service, that is a very different impact on a UK balance sheet versus a South African household.
Right. 12,000 rand goes a lot further in Cape Town than the equivalent amount does in London. That's for sure.
Exactly. It allows the VAs to earn a good, solid middle class living in South Africa while costing the UK client a fraction of what a local hire would. But, if it was just about money, you could go anywhere. There are cheaper places.
True.
This is why I call it competency arbitrage, not just cost arbitrage.
Explain that distinction. Competency arbitrage. I like that.
It means you aren't just getting cheaper labor. You are getting better labor for the price relative to other big outsourcing hubs. So let's start with the most practical thing, the time zone. South Africa is GMT +2.
So they are basically on the same clock as the UK and most of Europe. There's huge overlap.
Exactly. If you hire someone in the Philippines or India, there's a massive time lag. You send an email, you get a reply while you're asleep, you can lose a whole day in every single exchange. With South Africa, you can have a Zoom call at 10:00 a.m. London time, and they are fresh and ready to go. It feels like they're in the next room, not on the other side of the planet.
And then there is the language factor, which is obviously crucial.
High business English proficiency. And this is the really key part, a generally neutral accent. If you are putting someone in a client-facing role doing sales calls or customer support, that is huge. But it goes deeper. It's about the cultural proximity to UK business norms.
What do you mean by that specifically?
They get the humor. They understand the directness. They understand the sarcasm.
Which is a vital survival skill for working with British clients.
It really is. It just reduces the friction. You don't have to spend time explaining why you were phrasing an email a certain way or why a particular joke is funny. They just get it. It speeds everything up.
But it's not just about hiring talented people in South Africa and giving them a laptop. VAConnect seems to have built a whole infrastructure around these people. They don't just throw bodies at the problem.
This is the managed part of the managed service. This is what you're paying for. They have 3 pillars of infrastructure that I think are really clever. These are the things that separate a real company from just a body shop.
Let's break them down. Pillar number 1, VA Varsity.
I love this name, VA Varsity. It's their internal training layer. See, most agencies, they assume skills transfer. They look at a resume, see legal secretary, and they think, great, you can work for a London tech firm.
But that's a huge leap. A legal secretary working in Pretoria operates in a totally different universe than a sauce founder in Shoreditch.
Completely different worlds. Different software, different pacing, different slang, different expectations. The tools might be the same. Microsoft Word is Microsoft Word, but the context is everything. So VA Varsity bridges that gap.
What do they teach?
They train them on the specifics. Xero for accounting, Google Workspace, compliance, but more importantly on the soft skills. They teach the context of the client's world.
So they aren't learning on your dime. They hit the ground running.
Exactly. By the time they get assigned to you, they understand what a Series A startup is. They understand what burning runway means. They aren't just task doers. They are context-aware professionals.
Okay, pillar number 2. And this one sounds a bit, I don't know, a bit fluffy at first. But the data really backs it up. The VAPI program.
The VAPI, it stands for VA Performance and Integration. But they call it the Two-Way Happiness Program.
Two-way. That's the key, isn't it? Because usually the client is king and the worker is sort of invisible.
It is. Most agencies only ever ask the client, are you happy? If the client says yes, they just tick a box and ignore the VA. VAConnect makes a point to check if the VA is happy too.
Why does that matter so much to me, the client? Their happiness is nice, but I'm paying for a service.
Because if the VA is miserable, they will quit. And if they quit, the client loses all that institutional knowledge they've built up. It's a huge disruption. You have to start from scratch and retrain someone new. It slows you down.
Oh, no.
So VAConnect does weekly and monthly check-ins with both sides. If they see a fit deteriorating, maybe the personalities are clashing, maybe the work isn't what was promised, they can step in and reassign before it becomes a crisis.
Fix the roof before it starts to rain.
Exactly. It treats retention as a leading indicator of quality, not a lagging metric.
And the third pillar, this one I have not seen anywhere else. It's called atomic energy.
This is their wellness layer. And frankly, more companies should be doing this, especially for remote teams. Remote work can be lonely, it can be sedentary. Burnout is the enemy of consistency. If you are sitting in your house in Johannesburg working for a guy in London, you can feel very, very isolated.
So what does atomic energy actually do for them?
They provide wellness coaches. They have diet and exercise programs, mental mobility support. They treat their VAs almost like corporate athletes. They ensure they are physically and mentally fit to do the job consistently.
That is fascinating. So they are actively investing in the physical and mental health of their talent because they know a healthy VA is a productive and reliable VA.
And again, it protects the client's workflow. If your VA burns out and needs 2 weeks off, you are the one stuck rescheduling your own meetings again. Their health is your business continuity.
So we have the economics, we have the infrastructure, but now I want to pivot to the thing you teased at the beginning. Because we are living in 2025. AI is everywhere. We have ChatGPT, we have Jasper, we have Notion AI doing everything. Why on earth would I hire a human being to write my emails or do my research when I can get an AI to do it for free in seconds?
This is the AI paradox. And it is by far the most surprising insight from all the research. You would think AI absolutely kills the VA industry.
Right. It seems obvious.
Logic suggests that if automation goes up, human labor goes down. But what we're seeing is that it's actually elevating it. It's making them more valuable.
How? That seems completely counterintuitive.
Because AI needs a handler. It needs a curator. AI generates content. Sure, it can write 1,000 words in a minute. But have you ever read a raw, unedited AI email?
Yeah, it's a bit robotic. It's tonally flat. It uses words like delve and tapestry and unwavering commitment way, way too much. It sounds like a corporate robot wrote it.
Exactly. It lacks context. It lacks soul. It lacks the specific knowledge of your relationship with the person you're emailing. So VAConnect VAs are evolving into what we call humanization specialists.
Humanization specialists. I like that title. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It is the future of this kind of work. Let me give you a real example from a marketing agency in Camden that uses them. They use AI to draft everything. First drafts of reports, social media posts, email campaigns, but nothing, absolutely nothing goes to a client without passing through their VAConnect VA first.
So the VA is the gatekeeper, the quality control.
The VA is the buffer, the editor, the humanizer. They adjust the tone. They add specific client context like, hey, I know you mentioned your daughter's graduation last week. Hope it went well. And AI doesn't know that. They catch the hallucinations where the AI just confidently makes stuff up.
So what's the net result of that workflow?
They get 70% time savings because the AI does the heavy lifting of the first draft. But they get 95% custom quality because the human does the crucial finishing touches.
That is a massive efficiency gain. You're getting the raw speed of AI with the polish and nuance of a human.
It is. And there was a big study in the Strategic Management Journal in 2024 that backed this up. It found that productivity across a range of tasks peaked when human judgment is applied to machine output, not with full automation and not with full manual work. It's that hybrid, that partnership, that wins.
So the VA isn't competing with the AI. The VA is driving the AI.
Precisely. They are the pilot of the plane. We are seeing this in customer onboarding too. The AI sends the generic welcome email. The VA then jumps in and personalizes it based on the client's LinkedIn profile. Or for meeting follow-ups. The AI transcribes the meeting. The VA reads the transcript, identifies the nuance, the things that were implied but not explicitly said, and drafts the follow-up email.
It's the human layer.
It's the human layer. And in a world where everyone is just spamming everyone else with generic AI content, that human touch is becoming a luxury product. It stands out. People crave genuine connection, and the VA ensures that connection remains authentic even when you're using these powerful tools.
That is such a cool way to look at it. Okay, I want to make this tangible for the listener. We've talked a lot of theory. Let's talk practice. Walk me through a case study. How does a deployment like this actually happen?
Okay, let's create a composite client based on the data we saw. Let's say we have a Series A B2B SaaS company, 12 employees, based in King's Cross.
Okay, classic Camden startup. They have a product, they have some customers, but they are probably a little bit chaotic.
A lot chaotic. The founders are wasting 22 hours a week on admin. They are tired, they are cranky, and the whole company is slowing down because they're the bottleneck.
And they tried a temp agency maybe, but the temp flaked out after 3 months and they had to start over.
Exactly. So they call VAConnect. What happens first?
I'm guessing it's not just send us a job description.
No. Phase 1 is strategy. It's a deep discovery call. They map all the tasks. But more than that, they figure out not just what you need done, but how you work. Are you a Slack person or an email person? Do you like formal daily reports or informal bullet points? Do you work on weekends?
So they're matchmaking. They're finding the right personality.
Yes. The mantra is match someone, not just hire someone. Then comes phase 2. Onboarding. This is a 2 to 4 week process. They establish KPIs. They get all the systems access set up. But here is the critical part that most services miss. Phase 3 involves the backup VA.
The backup VA. This connects back to that whole reliability thing.
Right. If you hire a solo freelancer and they get the flu or their internet goes down, you're stuck. Work just stops. VAConnect introduces a secondary VA who shadows the primary one during onboarding. They learn the systems. So if the primary VA goes on holiday or gets sick, the backup can step in seamlessly.
No single point of failure.
Exactly. That is huge for peace of mind. It turns a person into a resilient system.
So 6 months later, what does our little SaaS company look like? What are the results?
The results are pretty stark. The founder's personal admin time drops from 22 hours a week down to about 4 hours a week.
So they got 18 hours of their life back. That's more than 2 full work days.
Every single week. And think about what a founder can do with 2 extra days. They can meet investors, they can talk to customers, they can refine the product, they can actually rest so they make better strategic decisions.
And what about the other metrics, the operational stuff?
Email response time went from 36 hours down to 4 hours. Scheduling conflicts, which were a constant headache, were reduced by 89%.
And the ROI, what's the bottom line?
If you calculate the value of the founder's time, let's say they value their strategic work at £200 an hour, the ROI was 875%.
That is almost unbelievable number. But the math checks out if you properly value your own time.
It does, and most founders don't. It's simple arithmetic. If you are doing £10 an hour work, you are effectively earning £10 an hour, no matter what your title is.
Okay, the big question.
Yeah.
What does this actually cost? We mentioned that 10 to 30 pound an hour range earlier, but let's talk concrete packages. How do they structure it?
Sure. So for a dedicated VA, you're starting around $1,038 a month for 10 hours a week of support.
Wait, dollars. You said dollars.
Yes. They price in US dollars for the international market, which is common for these types of services. But obviously for UK clients, you just convert that. So that's roughly £800 a month, depending on the day's rate. That's their starter package.
Okay, so that's the entry level, a way to dip your toe in the water.
Right. Then you have the Forge package. This is really interesting. It's $4,380 a month. That gives you 40 hours a week. So effectively a full-time employee's worth of hours.
Okay.
But you get access to the whole team's skill set. You aren't just hiring one person. You are hiring the service. You can use some hours for graphic design, some for admin, some for bookkeeping.
So you aren't hiring one person. You are hiring a slice of a multi-talented team.
Exactly. It's a flexible resource pool. And then for the bigger players, there is the Apex package. $8,800 a month for 100 hours a week. That is effectively an entire operational department that you can direct as needed.
And again, because of that currency conversion paying in dollars or pounds, while the operational costs are in South African rands, the client gets incredible leverage, and the VA in South Africa is getting a very competitive local wage.
That's the economic engine that makes it all work. It's a win-win arbitrage. The VA isn't being exploited. They are getting a great, stable, professional job in their local economy, and the client is getting a fantastic deal in theirs.
Now, you know I'm the optimist here, and you're the realist. We have to be honest. This can't be magic. It can't be perfect every time. What can go wrong? Let's talk about the risk architecture.
It absolutely is not magic, and things do go wrong. We have to be intellectually honest about the failure modes. If we don't discuss the risks, we aren't giving the full picture.
What's the number one way these arrangements fail?
Poor task definition. This is almost always on the client side. They expect telepathy. They say, handle my email, but they don't define what handle means. Do you want me to delete spam? Do you want me to reply to scheduling requests? Do you want me to draft responses to investors? If you don't build the playbook, the VA can't run the play.
So if you don't give clear instructions, you get garbage results. It's that simple.
Garbage in, garbage out. The second major failure mode is scope creep. You hire someone for a 20-hour package. They're amazing. So you start giving them more work, and suddenly they're doing 35 hours of work, but you haven't adjusted the rate or the expectations.
And then they burn out and quit, and you're back to square one.
Exactly. You abuse the flexibility and the relationship breaks down. And the third is cultural nuance. Even with South Africa being very culturally close to the UK, it's not identical. Directness varies. Sometimes a South African VA might be very polite and wait for explicit permission, whereas a London founder just wants them to grab the ball and run with it.
So how does VAConnect mitigate those risks? How do they stop these things from happening?
Well, that's where the strategy-first approach comes in. That initial deep dive is designed to prevent these problems. And Karen, the founder, is apparently staying very involved in this matching process. They try to match personalities, not just skills. If you are a type A super aggressive founder, they will find you a VA who can handle that pace. If you are a more creative, chaotic founder, they'll find you someone who is incredibly organized and can bring structure to your chaos.
Sounds a bit like a marriage counselor for business.
In a way, it is. It's all about managing relationship dynamics to get a productive outcome.
So looking forward, where is this entire industry going? In 5 years, is everyone just going to have an army of VAs running their lives?
I think we are seeing two major trends emerge. First, as we touched on, is VAs as AI orchestrators. The VA of the future isn't just typing, they are prompting. They know which AI tool to use for which task. They are the human interface between the executive and the machine.
They are the pilot in the cockpit. They know which buttons to press.
Yes. And the second big trend is specialized pods. So instead of hiring one executive assistant who is a generalist, you hire a slice of a team. You get a finance slice for a few hours a week, a marketing slice, and an admin slice. And the VAs in that pod coordinate amongst themselves to support you.
That makes so much sense. Because one person can't possibly be an expert at everything.
Exactly. You stop thinking about hiring people and you start provisioning capabilities. That is the Camden advantage. That is what those 14,000 surviving businesses are doing. They are building a modular, flexible, and resilient workforce.
It's a fundamental shift from who do I hire to what outcome do I need to achieve.
Precisely. It's outcome-based operations.
This has been, wow, really eye-opening. I mean, we started with a statistical mystery in Camden, and we ended up basically redefining the future of work.
It's a wild ride. The economy is changing right under our feet, and the smart players are the ones who are adapting to this new reality.
So to recap for everyone listening, Camden proves you can have massive growth without bloating your headcount. A company like VAConnect bridges that quality-cost gap by using amazing South African talent, that rigorous VA varsity training, and their unique happiness program. And the math. It's basically spend £1 to save £10 in opportunity cost.
The numbers don't lie. It's a powerful lever.
I want to leave the listener with a final thought, something to really chew on.
You know, we often think of outsourcing as a dirty word. We think of it as a way to get cheap labor, maybe cut some corners. But in an AI world, I think we need to completely reframe it. We might need to start thinking of it as a way to rent humanity.
Rent humanity. Wow, that is a heavy concept.
The competitive advantage of the future might not be your software. Everybody is going to have access to the same software. Everyone has the same AI. The advantage will be the quality of the human buffer you place between your software and your clients. The warmth, the empathy, the judgment. That is what you are really hiring. You are hiring the human connection that AI, for all its power, cannot replicate.
Wow. That is, yeah, that changes how I look at my own inbox. So for everyone listening, look at your calendar for tomorrow. Look at your to-do list and ask yourself, how much of this requires me, my unique brain and skills, and how much just requires intelligence? And if the answer is it just requires intelligence, maybe you need to rethink your entire structure. Thanks for diving in with us.
It was a pleasure.
See you in the next deep dive.